Today we are building a simple CSV parser. I'm using Java to do it, but I've done the same thing in C++. I think the idea can be translated into any language. So what you're going to want to do is start by making a new Java class. I called it Parser. You're going to want to make a main function so the program's runnable. Now this is just a simple way to make a CSV parser, and honestly it can parse any sort of file. I'm just doing CSVs because they're commonly, they're a popular file type. I made a parse function. I don't know why I cut there, but made a parse function, and then you make a new file to reference the file that you want to parse. You can make this a variable if you have like a file chooser out of the GUI. On Mac you hold Option to get the absolute file path. On Windows, I think it's even more simple. Make sure to get rid of that quote there. I left it in, but I go back later in the video and fix this. So next you're going to want to add a try catch with a buffer reader. To be honest, I used to be against try catches, but they're great and they're necessary. So just do a try catch because it's required. You can just, I start to type it here, but you can just right click on file reader and import it, which is what I end up doing anyways because I don't feel like typing it. So I add the catch clauses, get rid of that, and that clears up all the errors. So after that, you're going to want to make a temporary string and call it line to read each line of the buffer reader. And there's two ways to do this. The first way is you can assign it while incrementing it, and that's what they do here in the while. So while line equals, there's only one equals br.readline, and I didn't understand this at first, so I'm going to show you both methods and show you that they're the exact same. So while line equals br.readline, and it's not equal to null, so read every line and then print the line. So this assigns it and increments it, so it's not an infinite while loop. This didn't make sense to me at first, but now I mean, you'll see it's the exact same thing as doing what I'm about to show you. So the other way to do this is first make the line equal to br.readline, and then just make br.readline is not equal to null. So while bufferreader.readline is not equal to null, read the line, and then you'll increment within the while loop. So first, set line to equal to bufferreader.readline, and then go to while and make while line is not equal to null, and then make sure you re-increment line right there. So that's the incrementer. So those are the two ways of doing it, and I'm going to comment one of them out and I'll show you that it's the exact same thing. So I'm going to comment this one out with command / and I'm going to run the program, and as you can see there's an error because I left in that single quotation. So get rid of the single quote, fix it, perfect. Alright, now it's going to run perfectly, and you're going to see that we got all of the CSV data line by line, but we also have the labels for the columns, so date, close, last, volume, open, high, low. And I don't want those when I'm parsing the data because you're probably going to know what they're for. But alright, this is the second way to do it. It's the exact same. You'll see when I run it, it's the exact same data. So those are the two ways to do it. The first way I showed you is just a little bit cleaner, so we're going to keep that way. And I'll go ahead and delete that other way and then uncomment this with control / again. Alright, so from here you're going to see that we don't need to print out every line, but what we do need to do is add each line to our array list. We have to make it static because we're referencing this specific class. So that was step one. Read from the file and add the data. Now step two is how do you split up each thing by the commas. So in order to do that, you're going to make a for loop and loop through all of the data. So for each string s in data, so for each line of the data, array list. We're going to print that line, and I'm going to show you that it's the exact same thing as what we just had. It's just slowly moving down. So see, all the data got printed again, but it's being printed further down in the function because I commented the other one out. So this is where we are now. That's just a good debugging thing to make sure you're getting to where you want to go. So this is actually a way to remove those labels like date, high, low, close for my stock data. But it actually shows you that you can use remove first to remove the first element of an array list. So this is just getting rid of those labels that come in with a CSV file. You don't have to do this, but I do it because I want to be able to see, I want just to work with just the data. So go ahead and run it again. And you can see that we have all the data, but with no labels. So that's perfect. So now what we need to do is we need to split up each piece of data and add them to an array. So I make an array, call it CSV data, and make it split the string by the commas. And then as you'll see, each element of that array now, for each iteration of this for loop, can be referenced individually. So I can reference the date, which is element 0. I can reference the open price, which is element 1. I can reference the high price, which is element 2, I think. You get the point. I can reference each individual piece of data, and as you can see, here it is, and they're all being printed on a new line. But only 3 pieces of data, because I'm only referencing the first 3 elements, but they're all being added to that array. So you'll see I'll group them together on the same line, so it's more straightforward. But what I should have done is I need to add a print line statement. So there is a line break. This is actually a double line break for even more clarity. Just print line itself just makes a line break. So there you go. So the date, the prices, right there, those 3 pieces that I referenced, and then you can save those individually into their own array list. So then you have all of the data to be processed, categorically. So it can be like all of the dates or all of the prices, and you could do the same thing, but you could put them into a dictionary with like the dates with a price or something like that. And there's just a lot of things you can do once you can reference each data piece individually, and that's what this allows you to do. It's very powerful to be able to do this, and I recommend that you do this a few times. I think if you do this like 3 or 4 times, just following the video, you'll be able to do it on your own, no problem. I've been doing this a lot, and I've been doing this with GUI, and this is an easy way to save data for games if you're into making games. And all I do is just save all this stuff in array lists. And there's other ways to do it. I'm sure other people have other methods, but this is just a simple, straightforward method for me to, pull data out of files, which is important to do, or save data to files in the same method, just, in reverse. You just print to the file using a file writer, which I could make a tutorial on as well. But as you can see, now we have all of the array lists for each piece of the data individually, and you can just save them to each piece of the data individually, and then you'll have all of that data saved. So I said date.add CSV data, but it's actually, I had it as dates, so I changed that to date. And you'll see that fixes that. Close, volume, open, high, low. So that's all the data, and then you can just print it out outside of the loop, So I can print out the entire, list of dates to show that I have all the dates grabbed at once. There you go. That's all the dates, and they're all individual elements, so you can reference them individually parse them how you will, turn them into days, reference a calendar. And now this is all the closing prices. As you can see, so it prints all the dates, then prints the array list of closing prices. And then the volume, so this is all the volumes that were listed there. So really it's just an easy way to parse data. You can do this with a text file. It does not have to be a CSV file, but that's just what I used for this historical stock data. Hope you got something out of this. Enjoy.